good morning from Nepal. Sorry, from the US. I'm in California here, and I'm sorry, because I'm a little confused because we are targeting the students from Nepal, and it's morning time here in California. That's where I'm right now, and my special guest today, Dr. Kevin Timlin. He is from the very popular university in the United States, located in Cape Girardeau, Missouri State. That is Southeast Missouri State University, one of our best universities to offer to our international students. And we have that privilege working with Kevin and his team for many, many years already. And it's our privilege to have Kevin on our platform today for the live session here. Please feel free to attend this and ask any question you may have. And uh, before that, I would like to welcome Dr. Kevin Timlin. Kevin, welcome to the live show.
Thank you, Pawan. I'm very, very happy to join you today. Like you mentioned, we go back a long ways. That Southeast has been working with Bradford for many years. I started working at the university 4.5 years ago. So I started in July of 2016.
Uh-huh.
And you may remember that my very first trip to Kathmandu or to Nepal, you were the very first person that I met there in terms of a partner. And
That's true.
I always remember that you took me over to your family's place, and
Oh,
there
yeah.
was the Diwali celebration, the
Yeah.
day where the brothers and sisters get together, and saw
Yeah.
dancing and ate some great food and just had a wonderful time with your family. So yeah, we go way back and have a very special place in my heart for you and your family and your organization.
Okay, that sounds like we already know each other from the very past, and you gave me a fresh reminder of that time, like when you first came to Nepal, and then we had a meeting, and then immediately after, like when I asked you if you would like to go see the Nepalese culture while we were like celebrating the Deepavali or like Diwali in India. That time, we were having foods and then great fun together. So thank you for reminding me, and we really enjoyed. And my relatives as well, like that time, really were very happy having you there as a foreigner, and with a different background, but yet you enjoyed our culture and our time.
Yeah,
Thank
it's
you
like a
for reminding that. Yeah.
great memory, great experience, and thank
All
you.
right. You are very welcome. We hope to see you again and again, Kevin.
Let's hope so. It looks like things, with the Biden administration, with more vaccines, with let's hope that things open up a little bit more, where we can get back to the point where we do more face-to-face recruiting. This is great. I love the platform that you have here, and the way that you reach out to your students and your partner institutions. But nothing beats face-to-face interaction and actually being able to travel. So hopefully we get back to that soon.
That's right. Absolutely. But we've been able to provide information to our prospective students through these platforms anyway. So at least we are becoming active and trying to help as much as we can from all of our side, right? So in the meantime, today the 46th president of the United States, inauguration day, being 20th January 2021. As many of you know already, that Joe Biden is being sworn in as the president, the 46th president of the United States, and he is um, vice president, the first time, who has been elected as the vice president of woman vice president of the United States, is Kamala Harris. So we would like to congratulate them both, and we hope to have a better learning and business environment, as well as better situation in the United States and the whole world, as we can hear from them about the promises to America and the world. Right, Kevin?
Absolutely. Yeah, this is any presidential inauguration or any kind of change like this is momentous.
Mhm.
But this comes at a very interesting and important time. I think with the COVID situation, I think there's a lot of optimism
Hmm.
that the Biden Harris team are going to approach the COVID situation very differently from the previous administration that will have positive effects.
Right.
And then in terms of international students, so in my position, I'm the executive director of international education and services here at the university. So we're responsible for all things international, whether that's U.S. students studying abroad and going to other countries,
Hmm.
or bringing international students into our campus. There's every indication in the world that the Biden Harris team are going to be supportive of
Hmm.
these initiatives as they pertain to international education. I think that, what I always tell people here in the US and prospective students abroad,
Hmm.
that international students, so if you're from Nepal and you come to school in the United States, those students serve a very important purpose, not just on our campus, but in the United States in general. That,
Hmm.
we tell people that our U.S. students, that when you graduate, when you go out into the workforce, when you go out into careers and leadership roles at different places, you have to know how to work with people from other countries and other
True.
cultures. There's almost no aspect of life anywhere in the world that isn't touched by people from other countries or cultures or places.
Hmm.
So we expect our international students to be ambassadors when they come to the US, and especially to Southeast and into our classrooms. That,
Right.
you know, a kid from Southeast Missouri would very likely never meet anybody from Nepal or ever have an opportunity to go to Nepal. So how do they get to know about that important part of the world? It's by sitting next to them in the classroom. It's by sitting next to them in
Hmm.
the dining facilities. It's living in the dorms. And a university is really an educational community, we call it. So the higher education
Hmm.
system in the US is set up not so much where students just come and professors lecture for 2 hours and
Hmm.
then the students take notes and read a book and take a test.
Right.
It's much more conversational. It's much more deliberative. There's a lot more group activity. There's a lot more sharing. There's a lot more discussion.
Hmm.
And having students from around the world that can add viewpoints from
Hmm.
a Nepalese perspective, from a South Asian perspective, is so important to everybody on our campus. So when we hear of Biden Harris team being more supportive of international students, and it's not just what they can give to us, it's we know that we can get them to the next level that they want to do in a career or a profession or things like that. So
Hmm.
we're really excited about the change. So and we're really looking forward to some bright things on the horizon.
Yeah, absolutely. Like we have seen all these years, past 4 years with some, roller coaster type of policies to the international students, leave alone other aspects, other sectors. So like they were harshly impacted. Negatively impacted to international students community that I can feel as an agency to your institution and to many institutions in the United States. And we are also hit hard by that administration. So I believe this new administration is more promising in regards to welcoming the international students, and yet giving a good environment. So we hope America gonna be back to the international students committee, like you said. Why America is the number one destination for higher studies among international students? Because it carries the values. It shares those sort of diverse cultural and religious and many work ethics and all this stuff. So, those are shared in between. And universities are those places, those platforms where students from different background would meet together, it's just not the degrees that like they're gonna earn. Actually, they are not, they are going to learn so many things about each other, whoever they are meeting with. It could be from Nepal, from South Asia, from Europe, from um, South America, or other parts of the world. So that, because I know like more than 100 countries are represented, uh, even in South East Missouri State University, there are so many students coming from so many places in the world. That means it's a lifetime experience. Lifetime experience. Our campus life always a great value. I know like you have that opportunity to international student, because I have been to your campus. I have visited Southeast Missouri State University. I believe back in the last time, it was a few years back, like around 2015. And I am really impressed of the facilities, the programs, and yet they are not so expensive. They are not expensive, I would
Right.
say. Yeah. Yep. Thank you, and I'm equally very excited about this
If I
discussion.
could say too that,
Yes.
I think that it's I've been working in international higher education for close
Mhm.
to 20 years. And in the 20 years, it's been a series of changes, and it's a very cyclical
Mhm.
business, and there's
Mhm.
ups and downs. And I would say that if you went back to the high point of international student enrollment in the US in maybe 2015,
Mhm.
I do think that the system became a little bit too relaxed,
Mhm.
and that we were seeing a lot of students who probably weren't qualified, and almost as importantly, students who couldn't afford the education, that would get a visa. They would come to the U.S. They wouldn't have money to pay for their degree program, so they lost that money, and they had to drop out of college and do other things. So on one hand, what happened over the last 4 years
Mhm.
was a way of correcting some of that
Mhm.
and making
Mhm.
sure that students who are getting visas are serious students, that they're really trying to go, and the main purpose is their education. I just feel that they went way too far in correcting that situation that was happening before. So
Mhm.
what I'm really hoping for moving forward is a little bit more of a level ground, where if it can be proven that a student can afford the education and is a real bona fide student with an interest in improving themselves, that they're going to have a chance to get that visa and to do it. And I think we've done a lot on our end at the university too, to
Mhm.
help Nepalese students succeed and make
Mhm.
sure. So the way that we verify finances, we have some special considerations for Nepalese students to make sure that once they get here, they can
Mhm.
afford it. They're going to be successful. They get the support that they need.
Mhm.
So I guess in an optimistic way, I look at it as part of that continuing cycle, where 2015 was the top of the roller coaster.
Mhm. Mhm.
2019 went all the way down to the bottom. Hopefully, we're coming out on level surface on
Mhm.
2021 and moving forward.
Yeah, that's a pretty good analysis, I would say, because most of the institutions here, like have had the same kind of experience, because there are no institution like that is not impacted by this, like roller coaster type of situation for the last 4 years. And like you said, like there has to be changes, and those like policies has to be relaxed, but it should not go that far. Like it went too far. Like for instance, like. Trump administration back in June, July. I'm not quite sure which month, but that time, like when the whole world was going under, this calamity, this pandemic situation, international students were like left with very few options on their hand when they are in foreign land, like when they were in America. Then that time, like they wanted to study online, but the Trump administration, didn't offer that opportunity quite well, saying that like you cannot take like more than one credit or so, like from home, while the situation wasn't good to take the class on campus. So I know, you were also very what do you call, uh, reluctant with that kind of policy, but together with your university and many other 200 plus institutions from within the United States, they, I think, fought against that
Right.
policy and then revoked that within a few days, right?
Yep.
For
That
for
was,
every
it was
student.
July 6th. I think everybody
Okay.
who's working in higher education will remember that day.
Yeah.
And you're right. It was, that's one of those instances where we feel as if though the system is working appropriately, that
Hmm.
this was proposed, or not just
Hmm.
proposed, they said it was going to happen,
Hmm.
and would have been very serious restrictions and cause a lot of problems for students and institutions.
Hmm.
And within 2 weeks, there was enough pressure put on them through various channels
Hmm.
that they went back and said, okay, well, we're not going to do this. But those were 2 very anxious weeks for everybody involved. So,
Hmm.
yeah, let's hope that the future administration, whenever, is going to be more systematic. And, we used to talk about in this field that when a change happened to CVIS
Hmm.
or to regulations,
Hmm.
it would be a year in advance they would make the announcement, and people would freak out going like, oh my gosh, how are we ever going to do this? It's a year away from now. And
Right.
then this last administration, they were doing things, okay, it's effective now, and this is, so we're hopeful that things will be a little bit more orderly moving forward.
Yeah, yeah. Let's let's hope, and I'm very excited and equally have hopeful, like I said, and today's program with you is the beginning of that new era. Let's say Biden Harris administration is going to be very positive to our industry, and then helpful to international students whosoever planning to come and further their studies here. Thank you, Kevin, for sharing your insights. I know, you are quite vocal, towards that international students-friendly policies, and I really appreciate your support and thoughts on that. All right, let's come back to our university. So, Southeast Missouri State University. So, what's the situation now? Students are still waiting for the flights, or some relaxed border situation, or or what it is, they just keeping themselves on hold at the moment, or they still coming. What's the scenario for this January 2021?
Well, we are amazed at our new incoming class for January 2021.
Mm-hmm.
Um, we are, classes begin for the spring semester next Monday.
All
So
right.
we are doing our new international student orientation this week, and we have over 100 new in-person international students who are arriving here on campus to begin their
100.
degrees.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's
and
a big number, in this situation for any university, and it's 100. Yeah, wow.
and what we're
Yeah.
seeing, Pavan, is while visa interview or application slots
Mm-hmm.
are scarce, it's still difficult. The U.S. embassies and consulate offices around the world are still facing a lot of delays in visa processing.
That's true.
Many in countries like Nepal, I believe it's still closed and emergency appointments
Yeah,
only.
it's still close. Yeah.
Those who are able to get appointments, I'm seeing, are having a higher success rate in being able to obtain visas.
Mm-hmm.
So, like I said, we're welcoming over 100 new students for this term.
Mm-hmm.
Going back 3 or 4 years, we haven't had 100 new students in January for a while. So that's a really, really hopeful sign for us. But what we're doing is for those who haven't been able to get visas, we can defer their admission to a later term in the hopes that visa appointments will be easier to obtain later. And then we're looking forward to a big fall 21 intake. Some of our students who were admitted for the spring semester have opted to begin taking courses online, just so they can start earning their credits and they can start working towards their degree. But we always kind of warn people about that if you enroll in an online course, it's rigorous, it's a legitimate academic experience, and you need to have the technology and the resources to engage in that class, because that course that you're registered for will go on your record. It will affect your GPA. It can affect the scholarships that you've earned. So anybody opting for that choice really needs to make sure that they have the resources and the ability to follow through on that course. But yeah, so we're really happy. A really good intake this week, and looking forward to even better numbers in the fall.
Wow. That's really an exciting news for us and for all the incoming international students. Plus, like based on that, of course, we have new students who would be thinking about joining them in coming semester. That is, fall is the next nearest intake, let's say. So, but now, like, and this is the time to make application and prepare yourself. So, dear viewers, we have Dr. Kevin Timlin, who is the Executive Director of Southeast Missouri State University, which is a public university in Missouri and very popular among international students. And I would love to say that I've been there. I like that university, and I love to work with Kevin and his team, the admission as well as all the departments, because I have known them for a while, and I personally want to endorse this university, Southeast Missouri State University, for its programs, its recognition, its support services, as well as the tuition structure to the international student. And again, we are today discussing about the university, the programs. We now coming to programs, what especially Nepalese students are interested about, and or the South Asian students, and then the admission requirement, and we come to tuition structure, scholarship, one by one, but very quickly.
Sure.
Kevin. Okay, so in the meantime, I would encourage our viewers to ask any question, drop any question on the comment box. As you are watching on Facebook as well as YouTube, we'd love to pop up your question here and then give you the answer to our best knowledge. Kevin, so program wise, I see in a lot of programs being offered at CMO. We call CMO as short abbreviation. So what programs do you see international students are very interested in?
Well, I mean, we're a comprehensive public university, as you mentioned. We have, I want to say, about 140 different undergraduate degree programs and 75 different master's degree programs. So our offerings go up to the master's degree level. What's popular with international students are a lot of our STEM programs. So your viewers out there may be familiar with STEM, which is science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. And one of the reasons why that's important to international students is when you graduate from a degree program in the US as an international student, you're allowed to stay on your student visa and work for 1 year after you graduate on a program called Optional Practical Training, or OPT. If your degree program is STEM designated, you can stay on OPT for an additional 2 years. So students graduating in STEM programs have up to 3 years to legally stay in the US and work on OPT. So we've got a number of STEM designated programs at the master's level and undergraduate level. We have lots of different things in the hard sciences. I think we have a lot of Nepalese students who study things like biology and chemistry and right. physics and things like that. But we also have engineering physics programs. We have biomedical types of programs, all kinds of industrial systems engineering programs. that are all STEM designated. Mathematics, we've got computer science, we've got really good business programs. Our College of Business, excuse me, is AACSB accredited.
Oh,
Only 5% of business schools in the world have AACSB accreditation. So you
right.
can be confident that the curriculum is excellent, the faculty members are qualified, and we do what we say we do when we deliver programs like that. We've got hospitality management, I know, is popular with a lot of Nepalese students.
Yeah.
Um, and we also have a very good performing arts program in theater, music, and dance.
Mm-hmm.
It's incredibly rare for an institution of our size to
Mm-hmm.
have an accredited performing arts program. And one of the things that's interesting about that is, if a person was interested in an education in the arts, usually for this type of an education, they're going to pay 2 or 3 times the amount that they would pay for it here. And our program talks about careers in the arts in every single class that they teach. That there's this misconception that if I go to school for the arts, I have to be an actor or an actress or a musician, and I
Mm-hmm.
have to be famous to make a living. With the internet, with media being the way that it is, with all of the streaming content, no matter what country you're from, there are careers and a massive economic industry in the arts. So
Mm-hmm.
people who are interested in a career in the arts, we've got a very affordable program that talks about careers in the arts in every single class. They teach you to be an artist, but they also talk about how to make a career out of the arts too. So
Mm-hmm.
we have computer science, we have unmanned aircraft systems, which is like a drones
Drones.
program.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
And we just added a professional pilot program. So if a
Right.
person wants to come and get the certification to become a professional pilot,
Okay.
computer science, I think I mentioned, lots. So a broad range of degree programs. I would say that about the only thing we don't offer are multiple specialties in engineering. So if you're
Okay.
interested in being a civil engineer or a biomedical engineer or a petroleum engineer, we don't have those types of engineering programs, but just about anything else we offer.
Great. I am sure, you have quite a lot program, including that you say the piloting program, as well as that drone that's like autopiloting, like manless piloting, right? Which has been
Yeah,
very popular among even the the kids today.
and that's STEM designated too.
STEM designated. Yep. You have pick that point, STEM, like science, technology, engineering, and maths, which are like quite of high demand across the globe, and you have those programs at the university to offer to international students, and you have all the arts and performing. Even like you said, you don't need to be just like an actor, just learning act art, or like such performing arts. Rather, you could have the knowledge and can make a different career, but in maybe related field. So not everybody would like to be an actor. And so you have such a unique programs. Also, you have all those popular programs which are very demanding in our country, Nepal, and in South Asia, as well as other parts of the world, like computing, business. I believe you have a popular one as engineering management at the masters as well,
Yep.
which which I think is very popular among our students too, because
Technology management.
yeah, technology management. Yeah, thanks
Yep.
for correcting me. So that's also a good one. Yeah, thanks for saying about all those programs and their specialties. Um, about admission, what do you look at? Like, let's say that these days, is still ask for the GMAT or GRE, as well as like for the undergrad. If you are offering any scholarship or considering admission, SAT score is also required, or if you could highlight on those, Kevin.
Yeah, so on the undergraduate side, um, if you're a student from Nepal,
Hmm.
the only test that you would be required to take is an English proficiency test. The
Okay.
TOEFL, the IELTS, now the
Mhm.
Duolingo is I don't know if you're familiar with the Duolingo
Yeah.
English test. It's only like
Mhm.
$50. It can be taken on your own
Yes,
device.
online. Yep.
So we accept the results of those. We don't require SAT for undergraduates,
Okay.
but we can use the SAT results to qualify for scholarships or for an undergraduate student to be placed in certain general education courses pertaining to math and English. Um, Basically, what we're looking for is on the US GPA 4.0 scale, an undergraduate student with at least a 2.5 GPA is going to be admitted and going to get some kind of scholarship to attend the institution. Um, for undergraduates, we have three levels of merit-based scholarships, and the
Mhm.
scholarships are entirely based on your application materials, meaning your marks from your secondary school and your test score. As long as you have, you don't have to turn in any additional application. If you have the qualifications, you automatically get that scholarship. And so for our top scholarship is $8,000 of a tuition benefit per year. A student will qualify that from Nepal if they have a 3.75 GPA or higher. And again, that's on the US 4-point scale. Pavan, I don't know if you have a quick analogy of what a 3.75 equates to. But
Mhm.
if you have a 3.75 and a score on the IELTS of 6.5 or higher, or a 79 on the TOEFL, you
Mhm.
automatically receive that $8,000 scholarship. If you
Right.
have a GPA of 3.25 or higher and an IELTS score of 6.0, you automatically receive a scholarship worth around $6,000. That's the equivalent of paying the in-state tuition rate. So
Mhm.
again, that's a 3.25 GPA and a 6.0 or higher on the IELTS. You automatically qualify for that scholarship. Anybody with a 2.5 or higher will get at least the $2,000 scholarship. So what you're looking at then is, with that $8,000 scholarship, you're looking at a total price for everything for the year, for living, for insurance, for tuition, for books, for personal expenses, everything around $18,000 per year.
All right. So just want to make it clear. Uh, you have three types of scholarship being offered at the moment. So that is you have up to 8,000 or let's say 8,000 scholarship if you got a GPA of 3.75 equivalent. Let's say in Nepal, of course, like we have our own like National Education Board for plus two, and for a bachelor's we have university accreditation. So of course, we need to have that equivalency according to your university, and I'll touch that part as well. So just make sure that we have scholarship for those students having 3.75 and 6.5 in IELTS of $8,000. If it is 3.25, then $6,000. And once you are admitted, so automatically, or what it is, $2,000 for,
Well, no, so just to correct that a little bit, you
please.
need at least a 2.5 GPA to qualify for the $2,000 award.
All right.
So
Okay.
if you don't have at least a 2.5, it's possible to be admitted, but you're not going to get any scholarship money with less than a 2.5.
All right.
And
So,
so any student with a 2.5 or higher will qualify for one of these awards. You can't have more than one award, but
mhm.
if you qualify for the top one, you get it. If not, if you qualify for the second one, you get it. If you don't qualify for that and you have at least a 2.5, you get the $2,000 award.
Yeah. So the base, like the cutoff GPA is like 3.25 for any of this scholarship that you mentioned.
No,
Sorry,
two
no,
two
oh,
point
two of these
five.
scholarships.
Two
Oh,
point five.
2.5. I'm sorry. Yeah, that's what I was wondering about, because our students are getting 2,000 scholarship with a less GPA. So has the
Two
requirement been changed?
2.5.
50, right?
Yes.
My apology. I was rushing for typing and showing it on the screen.
There you go. That's correct.
All right. Awesome. Thank you. Um, So, dear viewers, of course, you are watching us and must be getting all the information firsthand. Not just from our side, like agency side, rather also directly from the university, as we have Dr. Kevin Timlin, the executive director of Southeast Missouri State University in Missouri, with us, with me today on our platform, and giving you the information right from his office. So please take this opportunity to ask him any question. I see some of the question being asked here on the comment box. Please feel free to ask us any question in regards to the programs, the tuition, the scholarship, and the location itself, the international student environment, and so many things. Okay,
And Pavan,
so
just to clarify too, that what you have on that bottom there is for undergraduate students. It's a different
okay,
scholarship situation for graduate students.
absolutely. So I would say that is the one for undergrad on an average, but I'll change it. Okay, in a while. So you're talking about the one which was on before, right, Kevin?
What?
I mean, is it? I took that off. So is that's okay now?
Yeah, but like I said, so
Oh
so
yeah,
those are
this
the
is scholarship.
undergraduate for the
Yep.
bachelor's degree students, the scholarships.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
All right. Thank you. All right. So I was going to take this question here, from Sagar Currents. Sagar, thanks for asking. But what are the criteria for PhD? I'm not sure if you got PhD programs.
No, we don't have PhDs, but I could tell you that, for our grad, so what I mentioned earlier about admission for undergraduates and scholarships, usually the undergraduate admission requirements are pretty standard, that if a student has those qualifications, they can be admitted as an undergraduate and they can choose any major that they want. Once you get into master's degrees and PhDs, each one of the academic programs will have unique admission requirements. So, basically for a PhD program, almost any program in the US is going to require the GRE or GMAT. They're going to require letters of recommendation, an essay in terms of what your research interests are or what you're planning to do with the degree, and lots of different things. So it really will vary from institution to institution and program to excuse me, program to program. And to repeat, we don't have PhD programs here, so I can't speak to what the requirements are at our institution.
Yeah, sorry, Sagar, we don't have the programs here at the CMO, but we definitely would like to help you for other universities if you have those criteria. We're gonna talk about the criteria once you contact us, because I cannot talk about that right now in this program. But yeah, we'd love to hear from you. Please contact us. Um, Thank you for your question. Anyway, we have Subhadra Depkota asking us one about A level pass students equivalent to GPA. So, what's the equivalent, GPA for A level?
If I'm not mistaken, I'm not the one who does the credential evaluations, but an A is the equivalent to a 4.0 here. B
Hmm.
and C is equivalent to 3.0 here.
Hmm.
Um, D and below is equivalent to 2 points.
Hmm.
So if you are a B or C on the A level exams that you had written, you would be around a 3.0 student. If you had a combination of A's, B's, and C's, then it would be somewhere between 3 and 4. And I
Yeah.
do want to point out, too, that A-level credits will count towards degree requirements at the U.S. We consider A-level to be higher education. So if you have written your A-level exams and gotten certain scores, what you do on those A-levels will count towards your degree requirements at Southeast.
Yeah, and from our experience, I would say, like, if you got 2.5, credit in your A level, and like Kevin mentioned, like some C's and B would also work for the admission. So it's really hard, like, what exactly, but like you could say, like, some of the subjects you have are has B, and some have C. That also works for the admission proposed. For scholarship and others, like you have to have better GPA, that is better grading, that is A or higher, or B plus. So please feel free to contact us. We'll definitely collect your documents and send it through to Kevin's office, and someone from Kevin's office will be giving us the clue. I mean, giving us the information about your eligibility that is for admission as well as scholarship demands. All right.
And we do consider O-level completion to be the equivalent of completing high school in the U.S. So
Okay.
students who have O-level but didn't do AS or just did AS are still admissible to our institution.
Yeah, that's thanks for like sharing that information. But from our experience, the embassy people, the visa officers, are not so interested to actually approve visas, like, to my knowledge, like, for A level only qualification. Rather, they are seeking for A level
Okay.
or equivalent.
Well, that's good to know. And you bring up a good point too, that I've
Mhm.
heard that about the SAT as well, that I don't know so much about Nepal, but I've heard in other countries
Mhm.
that even though we don't require the SAT for admission, again, we
Mhm.
can use it for scholarship
Mhm.
determination or for placement in courses. Taking the SAT looks good to the visa officer as well. That's something that I've heard that shows them that you're a bona fide student too. So that's a good point. Like, A levels means a little bit more in the visa interview. Having an SAT score, I've heard, can mean a little bit more in the visa interview as well.
That's true. Uh, because it's not so easy, like, to hit the grade, A grade or something, as you know. So like, so you might be nervous, like, just hitting us A grading. But like, of course, for B and C, we got admissions available for you too. And like you talked about SAT requirement, though visa officers might have different other questions, but like Kevin just mentioned, they made it clear, like, they don't require SAT to get this sort of, like, scholarship or admission at the university. um, Subhadra says, thanks for this last piece of info, Kevin. I'll sit exam, like, she's like sitting in next, let's say, for SAT, I guess, February, March.
And I know we're kind of coming up against the time, Pavan, but I do want to mention too that
Mhm.
our top $8,000 undergraduate scholarship,
Mhm.
you need to submit an application for admission to our university by March 1st.
Okay.
It's okay if you haven't taken your TOEFL test or SAT exam
Mhm.
by
Mhm.
then, but
Mhm.
you need to sit for that exam at least by the end of March.
Yep.
Any of the
Uh,
other scholarships, there's no deadline for it, but that top $8,000 scholarship, again, you need to submit the online application by March 1st, and you need to have the test completed, not so much the results to us, but the test completed by the end of that month, by the end of March.
Oh, thanks. Thanks for mentioning that. Subhadra, please keep in mind as you are sitting for the examination, like you said, February, March, I believe like you can cover that date. You can like, get your results in, or like you would sit within that time frame, like Kevin mentioned, end of March. Okay. But feel free to start your application with us, if you are ready any day from now. Thanks, Kevin, and thanks, Subhadra, for your question. And please feel free to contact us. We'll be happy to handle your application and guide you through. All right. So we are coming to now the tuition structure, Kevin. Like, how much is the tuition? Like, on an average, let's say on the I-20 as a tuition, it shows.
Uh, for the I-20 for an undergraduate student, it's around $26,000.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that's for everything. That's for living expenses. That's
Mm-hmm.
for room and
Tuition,
board. It's for insurance. It's for tuition. It's for everything.
personal expenses, about yeah,
Right.
like.
And so then that's where I always say that, if you qualify for that $8,000 scholarship,
Mm-hmm.
your I-20 amount is around $18,000. If you
Mm-hmm.
qualify for that $6,000, that mid-range scholarship, your I-20 amount is $20,000.
Mm-hmm.
And what I tell you this from the perspective of somebody. I have degrees from 3 different public universities in the Midwest.
Mm-hmm.
I've worked as a professional at 4 different universities in the Midwest, public universities. That $18,000 or $20,000 price point on the I-20, you are going to have a very difficult time finding as high quality of an education in the U.S. for that amount of money. We offer students an exceptional amount of personal service, attention. Our faculty members are 90% PhD or terminal degree holders. They are teachers first, so they teach undergraduate first-year courses. You will have more opportunities to interact with PhD faculty members, than just about any place else. So we're very, very proud of the quality of education for that $18,000 or $20,000 price point, depending on the scholarship that you're eligible for.
And to make it clear, like, you gonna offer that scholarship amount on tuition or the overall cost?
It's the student would get it in the form of discounted tuition.
Okay. Okay.
So yeah, that kind of, if a scholarship goes towards anything other than tuition, it's a taxable benefit.
Mm-hmm.
And so basically it would all come in the form of a tuition discount.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would just like calculate roughly, like, if it is 28,000, then, like personal expenses, insurance, that comes like 5,000, and another living cost around 11,000, and the reminder is the tuition. So yet, like, your tuition structure is not so expensive. Again, like, you are getting the scholarships amount on top of that. That means, like, that will be affordable, pricing for international student.
Here, I'm going to put a link on your chat.
That would be great. Yeah, I can share that.
So this is a link to what the international estimated cost is. Now, this is important to remember too, Bhavan, that these are estimated costs, and
Mm-hmm.
it's based on a student enrolling in 30 credit hours per year.
Mm-hmm.
Full time is 12 credit hours per semester. So if you're only registered for 24 hours, your tuition cost is much less.
Mm.
It's based on the
The credit.
median price for dormitory and meal plans. You can get less expensive accommodations. You can get a smaller meal plan. Some of our students are eligible to live off campus. They're not going to pay that much. This is,
Mm.
again, like kind of what we were talking about, maybe too many people getting visas before. We don't want to set anybody up for failure. We want to give a realistic expectation of what the cost is going to be, because
Mm-hmm.
we know they're not going to be successful here if they can't afford the education. So these prices that we put out there are conservative, kind of, a little bit higher estimates. It's definitely
Mhm.
easier to save money in certain areas, but this is a good realistic look at what the costs will be.
Thanks for the links which I have like just shared on the chat box. And dear viewers, feel free to click that link and then get more information. It's about the cost of attendance at the university, Southeast Missouri State University. As Kevin says, like this is like little like tricky to understand the fee structure. But again, like if you go by the number of subjects, let's say credits that you are going to take, like you should calculate the amount, and that will be easier for you to understand that way, because we just like talk about the cost, overall cost, that is reflected on your I-20. uh, but when you look at the tuition only, then you would see like how competitive it is among other universities, other public universities. And Missouri itself has got very good public university system, I would say. And one of them is SEMO.
And Pavan, I think it's worth mentioning too that one of the I don't want anybody to associate low cost with low quality.
Mm,
We are in a town of about 45,000 people
mhm,
in the southeast part of Missouri. So we are about halfway in between major metropolitan areas of St. Louis, which is
mhm,
about an hour and a half to the north, and
mhm,
Memphis, Tennessee, which is about 2 hours to the south of us.
mhm,
We were named the prettiest city in Missouri by Architectural Digest. It's very green, lots of hills, not mountainous like Nepal, but lots of hills, lots of trees, very beautiful environment. The university was founded in 1873, so a classic
mhm,
Midwestern campus.
mhm,
But the cost of living here is very low compared to many major metropolitan areas in the US. So,
mhm,
like I said, 90% of our faculty members have PhDs or terminal degrees. We have a low student to faculty ratio. It's just really more a low cost of living than it is an inferior education or quality experience or lack of resources and things like that. So, we live in a place where it is less expensive to live. So one of the things that I like to tell students is, you know, you could go to New York City and pay $45,000, $50,000 per year
mhm,
and not have any money for food, not have any money to do anything that New York City has available. Or you could go to a place like here where you pay $20,000 for a great education, a lot of personal attention, and then you have money to go home over break. You have money to visit New York and Miami and Los Angeles over the
so
break,
many things to do,
and
yeah.
still have money to do whatever you want. So, you still have all kinds of options to go and experience and take part in all the great things that are around us, but you
Mhm.
don't have to spend that much money for a high quality education.
That's true, and I agree with you, because you might be seeing big cities, when you watch movies or like hear from your friends, or even like searches or YouTube or anywhere, or just like you come to hear from anyway, if you have not been to the United States. But definitely, like you need to make a choice among many options that you have got on the table, and you must like compare how you gonna sustain as an international student, and how much you can pay out of your pocket, and for the same quality education in different places, and yet like you are still enjoying the lifestyle, like Kevin mentioned, for example, like um, LA and New York City, those places could be expensive, living as international student, and you could be just compromising many things if you are on your budget. So, but compare when you go to Missouri to like for example, attending SEMO, then you still can like have those sort of things, and you can actually enjoy your life as an international student. So this is what Kevin is trying to illustrate, and I agree with that. All right, choice, and your research on that definitely helps before coming to the United States. Thank you, Kevin. And now we come to the documents as you require for admission purpose. If you could just mention a little bit, please.
Yeah, so um, let me give you another link if you don't mind.
Sure.
Um, this is a link to what we call the steps to apply.
Okay.
And basically we're going to need to see your prior academic marks,
Mm-hmm.
transcripts, records, diplomas, whatever it is that you have. For first-time freshmen or new graduate students, we can make admission decisions based on unofficial copies of those transcripts and those marks.
Mm-hmm.
But we do need students to submit to us the official documents before they're allowed to enroll. So we know that people want their I-20s quickly. We know that people want to get an admission decision as quickly as possible. So with the issues of shipping right now, and we know that it's difficult for students to get official transcripts, and FedEx and DHL aren't working the way that they should right now. So we can make admission decisions based on those unofficial scores. But please note, we do require them before you're allowed to enroll. So we need your previous marks.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to need to see proof of English proficiency. There's a lot of different ways for a student to demonstrate their English proficiency. As I mentioned, on the undergraduate side, you need a 5.5 on the IELTS
Mm-hmm.
to be accepted. Most graduate programs, you need at least a 6.0 on the IELTS to be accepted.
Mm-hmm.
So you need your marks, you need your proof of English finance or proof of English proficiency. We have a $40 application fee that we require students to pay. That's very low compared to a lot of other places, but we do require it. You can talk to Vivon. We do offer certain agencies a number of application fee waivers. So those are available. Sorry to push this back to you, Pavan, but there are some that are available if you talk to Pavan and his team about it, Pavan. And then the other important thing that we need, as I've mentioned a couple of times before, that if you can't afford the education, we know that you're not going to be successful here. It's impossible to continue semester to semester unless you have the finances. Our students have the ability to work on campus. They can work up to 20 hours per week during the semester, and that's good for some pocket money, but it's not going to be enough for you to pay for everything.
Yep.
So we do require proof of finances as part of the application. We need like a bank statement or something, and then a financial affidavit for whomever's name is on that bank statement to say, I support this student in that amount. So there's a couple financial documents we need. The academic we need, and the test scores and the application fee are the four main things that we require for admission. On the graduate side, again, as I mentioned to Sagar's question, that every program has some different requirements. Some programs may require a GRE or GMAT. Some programs may require a resume or letter of recommendation or an essay. And so each graduate program is a little bit different. On the undergraduate side, though, it's those four things, no essays required or anything like that.
Mm-hmm. That's great. About the application turnaround time. So once you get the unofficial copies, like you say, the scanned copies, or mail, then once it is received by your admission office. So what's the turnaround time usually this time?
It really varies by the time of year that the student is applying. We're a relatively small admissions office. So there are
But I would say
certain
very
times.
active.
What's that?
I would say very active, small, but very active
Small
people.
but very active. Indeed, very as efficient as we can possibly be.
Mm-hmm.
On average, once we have everything that we need, generally we can have an admission decision in 1 to 2 weeks.
Hmm.
For graduate, it's a little bit different. It has to clear our office and then it has to go to the graduate department. We say about
Hmm.
2 to 4 weeks on the graduate side. But
Exactly.
we understand, there are times where the volume isn't nearly as heavy where you could get a much quicker um,
Hmm.
decision. But there are times where the volume is much heavier where it might take a little bit more time. So, I think it's important that we set a proper expectation. And so, like I said, on the undergraduate side, it's usually 1 to 2 weeks. On the graduate side, it's usually 2 to 4 weeks.
Yeah, that's actually a very normal time, and I would say like even it is faster, because 2 to 3 weeks time or 4 weeks time for a graduate, absolutely like that's a time that is often taken by most of the universities here. And I understand, like in the graduate side, the department heads, or let's say the faculties, would also look at the application and the supporting documents, and then get back to the admission team. So this is how it is taking a few more weeks. But for undergrad side, I believe like your admission team can look at the documents and make a decision quicker than graduate applications.
And Fahan, you probably know this too, that usually the longest delay is in us getting the documents that we need.
Uh,
Like, so
yeah.
we send out, we now have an online application in which
Mhm.
the student has access to a portal which they
Right.
can see in real time the documents that have been received.
Right.
And so that helps answer some of those questions that students may have. But it's
Mhm.
very important to continue to be in contact with either the Bradford representatives or the
Mhm.
school if you're doing that yourself, just to make sure that they have the documents that they need. A lot of times we know email is how we communicate with people around the world in terms of the admissions process. We know that not everybody checks emails as regularly, so maybe sometimes our request for documents gets lost or things like that. So usually the biggest delay is on the side of us getting the documents that we need.
That's true. Because once you have all of your documents, let's say you have your passport, you have your academic documents from SLC to plus two or even bachelor's if you're applying for the master's, plus your test scores. Then the support, like affidavit support or that bank statement, that shows that you have enough funding. If we get all those things together, then it will be easier for Kevin's admission team to process it quickly. I have like experience of like having those processed just even like 48 hours to 70 hours in most of the time for undergrad application at your office, Kevin. That's my past experience, and that gives us more advantage, like in a sense, like we can serve our students quickly and then get them ready for the visa interview, and like prepare themselves together with their family for the visa interview and travel accordingly. So that is a very good experience of SIMO with us. um, yeah, like just in case the students do not have the test scores available right now, but are appearing for the test sometime in the near future, then still we can apply, but make sure that that they will hold the application, but still they would be reviewing it but holding it for a final decision until your test score is received. And also the bank certificate could be sent later on if you think like you're going to have some more collection or like some more deposits or some more income, or have some more savings coming into your sponsor or the parents account or your account. Then you can wait for some time and send that later on too. But again, like that might delay the process. So but to meet the deadline for application, we advise you to initiate your application with whatever documents are available on hand right now, like passport, academic documents, or such, and then provide with us. Then we'll make application and send it to the university. And then you can like submit the IELTS score whenever it is available, as well as the bank statement. So just in case you do not have everything together, right, Kevin?
Right, right.
Right.
There's a On the financial affidavit,
Mhm.
there's a box on there that says, I will be receiving my funding information later. I just want the admission decision right now. So think about it this way, that for an international student, there's two separate aspects of the admissions process. There's the academic admission, meaning you're able to take classes and to be a student at Southeast, and that's what we need all the English proficiency and all that for. But there's also your CVIS record, which is the I-20, which is the document that you need to apply for a visa. We need the proof of funding to issue the I-20. So
Mhm.
if a student wants to apply only for academics and saying that, I don't have my financing in place right now, please just consider my academic admission and I'll deal with the finances and I'll get the I-20 later,
Mhm.
they would submit the financial affidavit as part of their application, and they'd check that box saying, I'm not going to be submitting financial documents right now. I'm still working on my funding. Please just process my academic information. And so to your point, Pavan, then we can move forward with the academic side of it, but we
Mhm.
can't send an I-20 until the finances have been rectified.
Exactly. Yeah, I think that's pretty clear. Because to meet with the admission deadline, we must send in the application on time. Uh, because if you miss the deadline, of course, you're not going to make it for the next intake, that is fall, and also for the scholarship, assessment. Let's say scholarship decision also, that also matters how, when, and how, like, because I believe, like, you treat the application based on when it was received. Is that true? Like like kind of foster first
Oh, of
foster.
course, of
Mhm.
course.
Okay. Okay,
Well, I
good.
mean, to a certain extent, we it's a cyclical.
Hmm.
So if we're coming up to the fall deadline
Hmm.
and somebody has submitted an application for the next term, we'll
Hmm.
prioritize the next intake.
Hmm.
But in general, yes, it's first come, first serve.
Exactly.
But
All right.
but again, like, we understand that there's different circumstances where we have to put more priority on certain things than another. So, for example, right now
Hmm.
we're finalizing all of the admission for this spring intake. So we
Hmm.
haven't really been doing much work on any fall applications right
Hmm.
now
Right.
because we're prioritizing these. But as soon as the spring semester starts, then all the attention turns to the fall.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Thank you. All right. I think, like, we just need to. Do you hear, like, from students, like, how their experience was going through the visa admission? Sorry, visa interviews. How, why SIMO? Why this program, or, like, what sort of, like, experience, if you remember, they share with you.
Well, I'm sure that your organization helps students on this.
Yep.
And generally, I mentioned typically I travel a lot and I meet people
Yep.
abroad and I meet students. I always try to go to the U.S. Embassy or Consulate office or Education USA office
Mm-hmm.
just to get information, just to get advice, kind of figure out how things are going, and make sure that they are aware of us and they know
Mm-hmm.
that Southeast is a bona fide university.
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
And I always hear the same things from the visa officers. And that is, a student needs to do three things to be successful. And Pavan, you know this very well.
Yeah.
That one, they need to prove that they have the finances to
Mm-hmm.
support themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Two, it has to make sense that
Mm-hmm.
the student has to have a reason for pursuing their education in the U.S. There has to be some kind of a story that they can tell that's personal, that this is why I'm doing it. They don't want to hear that a parent or somebody coerced them into doing this. They don't really want to go there. They're just doing it because somebody else wants them to do it.
Mm-hmm.
You need to have a reason. You need to have a story to tell about why this is your dream, why you're pursuing this.
about intention. Yeah.
Right. And the third
Mhm.
thing is you need to demonstrate that your intent is not to immigrate permanently to the United
Mm,
States. That
exactly.
that the student visa in and of itself is not a pathway to immigration.
Hmm.
So they need to know that you're going there for a specific purpose, but how does that purpose tie into what your future plans are? And you have to demonstrate that your future plans aren't to immigrate to the US. So those are the three things. And
Hmm.
it's very subjective. It's
Okay.
I can't tell you the number of times in the last 3 years where I've had a student with, we had a kid from Sri Lanka
Hmm.
who his father was one of the top cinnamon exporters in the country.
Hmm.
The son was going to study international business in our international business program so that he could come back and run the company after he's done.
Hmm.
And finances were absolutely no question whatsoever. And to me, that's like, okay, this kid has absolutely everything to be successful in meeting those three things, but he was denied for whatever reason, and we didn't get that information as to why.
Hmm.
Um, so that's subjective because for whatever reason on that day, that visa officer didn't think that they met the qualifications.
Hmm.
This is what we're really hoping is going to change from today on in the State Department. We
I
hope
think.
it gets back to being a little bit more objective, that if you can kind of demonstrate those three things, you're going to be successful. I guess all of that being said, to me, the most important thing is being honest. I think
Yeah.
these visa officers are trained to understand when people are not telling the truth, or they have a lot of
Hmm.
information at their fingertips. You're not
Yeah.
doing
Hmm.
yourself any favor by telling something that isn't true. So really kind of practice what that story is that you want to tell about why you're wanting to come to the US, how it fits into your programs. And also what we find too is culturally,
Hmm.
I don't know if this is the same in Nepal as in other places, but culturally sometimes parents don't talk to their children about finances.
Mm.
And once that student is in the US, the student is in the US, not the parent. You are
Mm.
going to have an understanding of how that financing works. Where is that money coming from? How are you
Mhm.
getting it? And
Yeah.
so, even if it's culturally not appropriate to talk to your parents or your funders about this, you should be prepared to give some concrete answers about how your family or whomever is going to finance your education. That will go a long way.
Yeah, that's like $1 million tips that you have just give our students about preparing themselves while facing the visa interview. Of course, those are the things those are the things actually they look at any student candidate before visa decision is made. That's true. And about the financial part, of course, the students today are, I believe, like in Nepal also, consulting with their parents, like how they're gonna support financially once they are here, not just for the first semester or two, rather checking with their sources, how they are going to help the kids. So this is important actually, because like you said earlier also, well, the students should not be planning on such earnings as a part-time students, job holder during the studies, to pay for the next tuition, or to cover the living expenses here in the United States. So the parents must be aware that the students are well prepared financially as well. And this way the students can succeed in the given time, and with the desired programs at the desired university. That I would advise, as well as like you heard from Kevin about his advice as well.
Mm-hmm.
Great. um, yeah, we at Bradford will be happy to guide you through all these steps that we are discussing. Actually, we have discussed most of the things, so we just come to a few more. And about visa guidance, that's important part. Once you have the documents, then we process through the admission team at the university, SIMO, and then we'll get the I-20 issued by the university to get to you, and then prepare you with the visa interview, like what sort of questions you can expect from the visa officer, and what we want to hear from you, like what are your answers would be like. And then that way I think you would have more confidence in you. The best part of cracking the interview, let's say being successful at the interview, is being yourself, being presenting yourself, being honest, very loyal to your answers, and of course, like telling them about your plans, uh, like the only plan, the specific plan that you got, uh, is to study further in the United States, and you have sufficient fund, and you have reasons to go to the United States for that program at that particular university, and you have things that pull you back, like in Nepal, when you are thinking about your career after graduation. So those ties, like, and also your family ties in your home country, those are very important things to share with them. Then that will give them a clear picture of you and your future plans, and that would that would like keep you on a successful um, journey. And like quickly, like we are like coming to an end uh, today. So just quickly, if you could mention about like situation in Missouri, like we cannot just like end it without talking about COVID situation, wherever we are talking, like talking from, or like wherever are we talking to. So just want to like make sure, like the situation is like kind of what sort of situation is there for international student. What do you think the majors would be like?
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. Um, a lot of this gets back to the Biden-Harris administration. I think
Hmm.
immediately there's going to be a different approach to COVID today
Yep.
compared to when it was before.
Yeah, I
What
heard
I
that.
can
Like.
say is that at Southeast, we opened back to face courses last fall.
Okay.
And we've implemented what's called a Protect the Nest program, where we have very strong testing and
Hmm.
tracing with our students and our faculty and our staff. There is a mask mandate all across campus. Um, a lot of flexibility has been built into the courses so that even if a
Hmm.
course is scheduled to be face to face, they're making content available online, they're making remote delivery possible, and it's really done a very good job of containing any outbreaks or anything that have happened on campus. I mean, we've got 3,000 people living in dormitories,
Hmm.
eating on campus every day. We've got 10,000 students in classes and things like that. Um, and certainly infections have happened on campus, but because of the testing and the tracing, we have a campus clinic. We have been able to prevent any large outbreaks or any serious, like more
That's
serious
good news. Yeah.
ramifications on campus.
Hmm.
Um, so it's happening, but in Missouri at large, it's a little bit different from community to community. But
Yeah. Yeah. I
here on
understand.
campus, it's taken very, very seriously. There's lots of precautions, and I think what you would hear from people if you went on Facebook and found different things is that by and large we're doing a very good job of making it flexible, containing the spread, testing people, and tracing.
That's great to hear from you. Like the university system has it all to help the people, like the students, the community, whosoever, like in the campus premises, and making sure that like you are following that safety guidelines, and then helping everyone. Thanks, Kevin. And about travel, I think we talked about this, like at the beginning. So like there is no travel ban. Any like students can travel in any time, but they have to make sure, like their countries before leaving, the immigration requirement, like they have to have a COVID negative test report
Yeah.
before boarding the flight. And I think it's same thing from here as well. While you're going out of the United States as well, or traveling to any other airports from one airport, so make sure that you are safe and you're following all this safety guidelines, and making your trip to United States as international as safe as you can, now and in the future as well.
Yeah, and I think that's one of those things that we'll get a lot more guidance on very soon. Um,
Mhm.
you mentioned, I think there's going to be a nationwide implementation on the 25th that you need to
Okay.
have a negative COVID test
Mhm.
prior to entering. I know that even before that, a lot of airlines are requiring that.
Mhm.
Um, I would imagine that once vaccines become more available,
Mhm.
there's a lot of talk about like a vaccination passport that people are
Right,
going
right.
to have too. So it'll be interesting to see how that develops
Mhm.
between now and August. But
Right.
we're actually hopeful that our entire campus community, whether it's students, faculty, and staff, will have the vaccination by the end of the spring semester.
Exactly, and this Biden administration also rolling out. They say 100 million in a few months, in 2 3 months. Let's say Biden's first 100 days gonna be this challenging, but yet it's promising one. And the first thing, first thing first, we all want vaccines in every places, as soon as we can. And it's a good news that this administration is thinking more seriously about that, and then more vaccines are becoming available. Also, AstraZeneca in the UK, that's the latest one. They approved, and they already had Pfizer and Moderna, and also in India as well. Like they have their own vaccine being approved and then distributed too. And also AstraZeneca and some other companies also have their factories there, and they actually are being made available to the public. And I also got a news from them, not sure, not official, I don't know. They also helping the neighboring countries with the distribution of vaccine, including to Nepal. And this is good news as well.
Yeah.
And for here, of course, other vaccines, the company Johnson & Johnson and many others are in the line. So let's hope things will be normal, and I'm hopeful already though.
Yeah, and Johnson is a single dose vaccination too, so that will
Yeah.
be really
Yeah.
big too. So yeah, I
Right.
mean, yeah.
Okay. All right. Kevin, anything that you think you missed um, here today?
No, just there's a lot of recruitment agents in Nepal. I mean that's traditionally been a big business, and I know that students have a lot of options. But again, I just want to reiterate that we have a long-standing relationship with Bradford Global.
Hmm.
We trust them implicitly. We've never had any problems with quality of students or false documents, and when our students come to campus, we do talk to them about their experience with their
Hmm.
recruitment partners, and we hear some not good stories. And I'm not saying from Nepal or anywhere, but we have never had any problems with Bradford. I think that you should have a lot of confidence in knowing that working with Bradford, you're in very good hands. They're honest, and they're strong partners of ours, and we work very closely with them.
Thank you for your nice words and all the support together with your team to our company, our agency. And it's very friendlier gesture, in working with you all. And that makes us even more excited, being very loyal, very honest, and service oriented consulting agency in Nepal for our students. And soon we are operating from other countries too. So that will be the laborers. That would be the trust label that will be carrying with us wherever we will be working from as an extended branch. So that will keep us more alive in this industry, and we need your support, Kevin. Thank you so much. Thank you, and stay safe.
Okay,
Namaste.
thank you for this opportunity.
Namaste.
Hope to see
Yeah.
everyone here in the
Talk to you
fall.
soon. Yeah. See you everyone in the fall at SEMO, the Southeast Missouri State University in Missouri. Again and again, I'm repeating that it's a great university to start your study career. Please check this out, okay? And let us know, any of our counselors at Bradford, about your choice of the programs, and we'll be guiding you through. I will be happy to, guide you in every step, uh, from the beginning to the enrollment at the university and so on. Thank you, everyone. And in Kevin, I just want to request you, to just wait for me a few seconds in the
Okay.
backspace, okay? And in the meantime, I'll just announce our dear viewers. That was Dr. Kevin Timlin from Southeast Missouri State University. I really enjoyed having him here today. I hope you also enjoyed our information session about studying in the U.S. And today is the special day in U.S. history, as U.S. is going to have its 46th president, and everybody is excited about new good things happening here, and their policies towards international students and international communities. So let's be hopeful, okay? And yes, this journey continues, like our live station that we've been doing it for some time now. Like we started back in April 2020, and we are already here today in January, and we continue this year with much more institution on our board, giving you live session, as well as like live like question answer and all this. We'd be happy to help you anyway. So this Friday at 10 a.m. Nepal time, we have ECA. Um, that's a group, and that's also a college, a provider in Australia, especially in Sydney, and they have their Victoria University Sydney campus. Um, we'll have Mr. Saurabh Shrestha, who is the manager, the country manager for Nepal, and will be joining us live this Friday morning at 10 a.m. And yes, as you see from his last name, he is a Nepali guy, and a very nice one. And then he is very cool, a cool guy to give you every question's answer regarding their programs and offers, and the programs itself at their campuses. So mark your calendar, and until then, I'll sign off now, and would wish you a very safe and wonderful days ahead. Namaste. Thank you.